Hello and welcome back to Creative Perspectives. I'm Brandy, a transitional life coach specializing in mindful and healthy connections. Today our topic is going to be about love. Now, it also marks the first of 10 series that we're going to do because love is so broad. Today our subtopic from that series is going to be on sex. Okay? So during the holidays I collected some questions that people would like me to answer. So, let's see what we have. And there's too many. There's too many, so I'll have to use them in all 10 series because there's no way I can make it short if I'm answering every single question, okay? So, let's see. Okay, so I have two, so I think I'm going to start with how can we discuss sex with our partner? It seems like it's an off-limit topic. Okay, so that's our first one. I'm going to put that over here. Okay, so first, sex can be just sex. But if you're talking about intimacy and connection with your partner, it tends to have a more emotional connection involved to it. Okay, so it's not just physical. Some people like the physical, you know, male or female, because we used to have that misnomer. Men could just go in there, get it, and be done. But I've met some females where they do the same thing as men. So I'm like, oh, okay. But anyway, it's an emotional investment and it's an emotional connection. So if there are any difficulties or anything you want to discuss in that relationship, you have to work to be comfortable enough with your partner, and you should be comfortable when you're starting to, you know, open your legs and when he's trying to get you to sit on him, you know. So there has to be some type of emotional factor to that if you guys are in a healthy, committed relationship. If it's unhealthy, that's what makes discussing sex difficult. A lot of times we don't want to hurt people's feelings, but you have to be honest. Part of having a healthy relationship or building a healthy relationship is being honest with your partner. You must be able to talk to your partner about what your wants and needs are for your sexual encounter with them. Okay, so there's certain positions you may like, certain positions you may not like. Sometimes if it's just been a stale, monotonous sexual connection, meaning you do it the exact same time for years without switching it up, then I could see that being an issue. But the way you can discuss that with your partner is just be open and honest. You know, there are so many factors that affect sex, you know, a ton, and we're going to dive into that later. So we're going to dive into the medical portion, the different types of conditions that can keep you from having a healthy sexual relationship. But that'll be part two. Today I was also supposed to talk about tyrannical love versus agape love. So I'm going to postpone that till we're on the 5th series. And the reason why is because I think sex deserves a lot of attention because it takes up a lot of our relationship time, you know. Just like money. Money also is a big factor in relationships. And then also the health portion is as well. Mental, emotional, physical health are all a part of creating that dynamic connection that you need to have in a relationship. But you have to work to get to that level. All right, now let's get back on sex. In order to really dive deep into having that uncomfortable discussion with your partner first, you have to have a genuine, loving, emotional connection first. If you don't have it and you're just trying to have sex, then guess what? You're just going to have to come out and say, hey, I want to talk to you before we engage into sex. One thing I always recommend is you have your partner, take a STD check before you even engage into any form of sex, because we're living in a time where, you know, people are just more explorative with their bodies. It's, you know, so anyway, I would just directly come out and let them know, this is what I like during sex. These are the positions I like, and just be completely open and honest about that. Now, once you have sex, if it is not what you thought it should be, and it's something that can be fixed, it's fixable, you should also have a post-sexual conversation with your partner. But I would not recommend having it as soon as it's over, because to me, it could be a damaging factor for their self-esteem, especially if they're the type where they're already suffering from past experiences with their partners. Something that was said or done. There's also childhood trauma factors if they were raped before, you know, stuff like that. So you have to really know your partner and have more intimate discussions that will make you emotionally connected on a greater level, to where talking about sex can be beneficial for both of you. Okay, and because you want people to be disarmed when you go to talk about it. So if somebody's upset and angry and then you add that, then it could be a self-esteem killer. It can cause wounds, or it could bring up old wounds. But as long as people know you're coming out of love, sometimes even if it's a trigger point for them, it's something where it can be acceptable to open them up in a more positive way to speak about that. Okay, so I hope I answered that question, but just talk to them, you know, as soon as you can, but just pick the right moment, the right time where you're going to be uninterrupted to have that discussion about how to talk to them about sex. You know, if your partner is defensive, it's definitely going to pose some challenges. But again, it comes to the respect in the relationship. You know, some people are having sex with people who don't care about their wants, their needs, and desires during sex, because they don't have the respect for the person. So how would they even care, you know, of how you feel during that moment when they're just trying to get theirs in, but they may not care about how your feelings or how you get satisfied. So to even have a good partner, you need to have somebody that is mutually coming in to please you, just like you want to please them. I always talk about equal reciprocity because you need that also in your sex life. And it starts with a lot of honesty. If you were not satisfied, it's something that you need to have that discussion, but just not right away, because they're over there like thinking that they gave it to you. Like, oh yeah, I did something spectacular to her, and she's ooh. And then you're over there disappointed if it didn't work out the way that it's working out in their head. So it's best to find the right time and then to have the discussion, but do it in such a loving way to where you're not going to hurt or injure that person. To me, sex is about growth and learning about your partner or your husband, your wife, your spouse. So it's a delicate subject. So have it. Okay, the sooner you have it, the sooner you both can be on the same page on how can we fix it, how can we make it better. And sometimes to make it better, you might need outside intervention. You might need sex therapy. You might need some medication. My next series, like I talked about, we're going to talk about sexual dysfunction, because most people are running around blaming their partners. Well, why can't you get it up? And then the person's over there like in a nightmare panic because they're thinking, I can never please anybody because this one person is destroying my self-esteem to such a point where, you know, it just makes them feel different. And we don't want to shame people, okay? Because some people come in with their own insecurities. Some people have body shaming where it's all in their head, but they're having a certain emotional connection with their body that's unhealthy, and then they're bringing it into the bedroom, okay? So if you're not satisfied, talk, and talk. But you need to have a solution too. Tell them how you need to be pleased. Tell them exactly how it's going to work out for you. But understand too, as time goes on, you also need to evolve in your sex life. Okay, so once that emotional connection is there, now there needs to be fun, okay? Because when you're in marriages sometimes, and I've been married, twice, and those were my longest standing partners because it's been my entire life, but the spontaneity is what keeps it up, even after children, okay? But I was married to one person where they did have a dysfunctional issue, okay? So I never say names, but so I brought it up to the person, and I let my ex know, how I felt. But the difference is because he was in a denial state, he would not get the help, okay? And it only took for us to be out of each other's lives permanently for him to try to fix it. But we were together 10 years, married for 7. So, sometimes it's not always about the size of the package. Sometimes it's also about the functionality of what happens in between the sheets. So I'm telling you from experience, talk to your partner. If your partner respects you enough to fix the problem, they will go seek help, because their job is not just about themselves, it's also to pleasure you as well. But sometimes there might need to be some medical interventions. Now, I will just give you a little bit about just one thing about sexual dysfunction. There are some men who are not well endowed. And I've heard so many stories from women who this man cannot pleasure her. It destroys the sex life. There's a lot of stuff that goes along with that. But for those who I've met who stayed with their partner, it just seemed as if they didn't focus too much on sex, and they use other avenues of approach to make sex pleasurable. So for instance, if you can't satisfy your partner because you may not be well endowed. Now remember, even if a person's not well endowed, they still need to be satisfied too. And then the partner who's disappointed needs to be satisfied as well. So you could use toys, sex toys. That can help. You can explore different places. You could do fantasy. Fantasy is just when you think of something, do something different. So for instance, you can, if you've been married, especially for a long time, it's mostly to people that's been married for so long, or you've been with your partner and you're not married, but you've been with them for a long time, and you need something different, or it's not spicy anymore, or the same orgasms that you used to get, you're having a hard time getting those orgasms now because you've already reached that peak with your partner. Now, you just got to get into your imagination. You have to get creative. Example, you could wear a wig. Tell your spouse or your boyfriend, your girlfriend, meet you, at a different establishment that you guys have never been to before. You could get all dressed up into something you normally do not wear, and you could wear a wig. So you could put on different types of wigs for your partner, and then just pretend like you don't even know them. So sometimes role play outside of the bedroom could work. Also, using your fantasy, encompassing that into the equation can also help as well, okay? We want to stay connected. So if you're in a long-term marriage, we don't want you wandering off to look at what else is out there. We want you to stay in your committed relationship with your partner. So the way to do that is speak. If you have a dysfunction, or if your partner brings it up to you, do not be ashamed. Do not take it as a threat. Start talking about it, because tackling the problem is how you fix it. Hiding the problem is how you create more problems. So we want to fix it, okay? So role play, trying different positions. There are so many books on Kama Sutra, different styles, different types, and then respect your partner. So if you want to try something different, your partner might not like it, and there's different types of outer course, your oral portion, your all kinds of stuff we could come up with. but you definitely want to listen to your partner. Okay, so don't make it awkward. If you love each other, it should definitely be a little easier to say it, and do not approach your partner as if it's wrong somehow if they're not satisfying you. Okay, the more you talk, the more you become connected, the more you bring out your insecurities with your partner, and it's safe with them particularly, the better your sex life will become. Okay, now I'm going on to my next question, and we're going to have more discussion, so because it's 10 series, that's why I made it 10 series. Okay, so I answered that question. My next question, got it out here, I already took it. It is, can you stay in a relationship with someone if the sex is bad? I strongly believe you can. Like, I stuck it out for 7 years, and when I was married, and I believe you can, but you have to have an emotional connection. I would urge people, if the sex is bad, just like I was speaking about before, only you in your head know exactly what you want from the bed. Now, in order to make this effective, don't have expectations of what you think your partner to need to do and what you think they need to be like in that bed. Don't do it, okay? You got to be able to be transparent in a situation like that, because remember, depending on how long you've been with them, sex is a big part. I mean, it's a big part of our lives, and you don't want your partner to start withdrawing because they can't speak to you about the discomfort of or the disappointment that may be plaguing the relationship. So instead, come with love, come disarmed. Only you know your partner. Let them know, hey, I want to talk about sex. I want us to discuss it. There's some things that I would like to change, or I would like to see, because I don't feel like I'm getting my needs met in the bed. Okay, and then you gotta wait for your partner to speak, because you know there's two people. I always talk about life is like a chess piece, right? They have their own game of life going on. You have your own game of life going on, and then you put you together, okay? And then you're blending all of that. So a lot of factors play a part in how we are going to connect. You know, what we see as healthy connection, and what we view as a threat, and what we view as safe, okay? So we want our partner, when we have these discussions, to feel safe and loved, okay? I believe you can definitely stay married. You just have to, like I was just stating before, you might have to use some toys, try different positions, have more of a frequency, have sex more often or less often to build the anticipation. Go out there, role play, try different types of clothes on your partner has never seen before, and get it on. Go different places and have sex. You know, don't just have it in the bed. You know, and sometimes make it spontaneous, where your partner don't even see it coming. You know, all of a sudden you throw him, you throw him or her on a counter outside, or, you know, just something, but just make sure the kids are not out there, you know, because it can be a crime, especially in America if you get busted. But just, if you want to keep it spontaneous, build it up, you know, and sometimes being spontaneous is good, but you have to know how your partner likes it, period. But then also, you have to be experimental as well. You can't just sit up there and do the same way all the time in different places. You get what I'm saying? So sex has to evolve, just like you have to evolve with each other. Okay, and sometimes you could try different positions for a long time and then switch it back up to the old one, and now you got something different, okay? So it's just like mind games. If you think about it, sex is all in the mind. The anticipation, the way we get our bodies ready, everything is pretty much in your head, okay? But we have to be delicate with our partner. So I believe you can stay in a relationship. I would say if you have someone that you just met, and you guys are just now getting together, and you know you don't want bad sex, or you may not want somebody who is not the whole thing, then I would say in a situation like that where it's not a long-term thing where you really don't know each other, you can, move forward with your life. It's not a bad thing because although we talk about someone not being well endowed, one thing I was telling a person, and he disclosed, he's ashamed of his anatomy, down there, because he feels like he can't satisfy any woman, and my response to that is, look, every vagina is not made the same. You will find the one that fits right for you. Just like you hear some men, because I know men gossip too, and I come from a family full of boys. So that's what makes these discussions a little easier for me to have. But one size vagina don't fit all penises either, okay? So when we think of that, that's how you know there is somebody out there for you. But if you do learn, and you can buy books, stuff like that, or you can get counseling, a sex therapy counseling or whatever, and figure out what you can do that could be beneficial in the bed for a woman, okay? And then we also have the opposite side of the spectrum where somebody can be really well endowed, but it may still not be good sex because they got to learn how to use their wand, okay? I call them wands, okay? And that's how you kind of get to it. All right, so I'm done with that question. I'm quite sure we'll probably talk more about that when we talk about sexual dysfunctions and stuff like that when we hit that side of sex. How can you reconnect as an empty nester? Okay, kids have been in your lives forever, and everybody who's a parent, they already understand that kids play a big part in our lives as far as our stress levels. They bring a different dynamic that can actually affect our sex lives. So I would say once they are out of the house, honey, you better go back to when you was a teenager and start getting it on. Exercise is a big part of sex too. So we want to be mentally and spiritually and physically healthy. And that helps as well. But when kids are gone, that's the time to explore because the house is empty. Go find new adventures to do, something that neither one of you have done. And that should be helpful. Okay, I only have 3 more minutes. My time is running short. How do I not get used? Okay, hold on. I gotta check that out. 3 more minutes, thank you. Okay, how can I not get used? Let me put that over there. Okay, to answer that question is, you have to have standards. If you see that somebody's not coming at you with the same energy, for instance, if they don't contact you, you don't contact them. If you send out messages to them and you see that they're not reciprocating them and they're not getting back to you in a timely manner, they're just not that interested in you. When it comes to sex, the way to not be used is first develop the emotional connection. And you cannot do that if you have sex right away. So it's either you're just going to have sex for physical, and that's it, just to have fun and get it done. Or if you're looking for something more long-term, sometimes you definitely got to withhold your body, okay? You can't just go around sleeping with everybody and then be like, well, I'm getting used, okay? Because you're giving that person everything they want. Another thing is, make a person date you. Make them take you out. If somebody's acting like they're too cheap to do anything for you, that's not the person for you, okay? Especially you know what you want. If I'm being cheap and I'm making you pay all your pay for the date on your own, on top of that, I'm taking your time. It's not equal if you're just giving your body to that person. When you think about it, it's not equal unless you just want to do it for recreational purposes or you just want to have sex and you really are not looking for a connection. But if you're looking for a connection, it takes time. It's not something that's one and done just right away, and make them wait. Make them wait, and you're not doing it intentionally. You just want to get the mind and the heart first before you give up the body, because anybody can have sex when you think about it. Also, you want to have the emotional connection. So getting to know each other is what builds that. Okay, it builds it up. So that's how you don't get used. It's equal reciprocity. Make sure a guy takes care of you, and a woman, just it's equal. But I believe in courtship. So make him court you, because if he's getting that for free, he don't have to pay nothing and all this other stuff. He's the one benefiting, and you're getting nothing from that. And we'll talk about transactional love, which is part of our love series as well, versus agape. Okay, I have to wrap it up. I only have 1 minute left. Thank you. Please like, share, and subscribe. God bless you. I hope you have a good week, and please join me. Next series will also be on sex. I could not get to every question, but I will answer it over the course of time. God bless you. God smile on you. Bye.